Hey, 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 what is going on, everyone? Well, I'm so glad that you have took your time to spend with me right here today on the MRB Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike McRock Wilson, and last night was WWE Monday Night Raw. What I really liked about the show last night was that the balance was absolutely amazing last night because there was some stuff that happened last week that they really got going and then only had enough of it on Raw, which is great. And I'll get to that later on. But before I get to that, the show kicked off last night when Mr. McMahon told Brad Maddox to, tell the audience, and say a sincere apology, due to, the fact that he hasn't been treating Daniel Bryan all that well, and, saying stuff like that, you can't cut it, and you won't be champ, etc., and putting him in these situations when really, it was Vince that was, letting in Brad Maddox's ear. And the funny thing is that, with Vince, he is the guy you don't want to see every week on Raw. He's the guy for special occasions, special attractions, on a periodically kind of way. What they could do is that you could have an earpiece in for Brad Maddox, and you kind of get the feeling that he's listening into his earpiece to Vince McMahon's voice. They could go that route and just have Vince come in on those special occasions when he's really needed, to get the story, going, really. And, with that being said, Daniel Bryan came out and interrupted Vince McMahon, and this whole thing with Vince and Daniel Bryan was absolutely entertaining. When Vince got on, crouched down on Daniel Bryan's level because he's short, and then Daniel Bryan counters it when he gets on Vince McMahon's level on his tippy toes, trying to look tall as him, and the whole thing was just absolutely entertaining. And with all that being said, from last week on Raw, Daniel Bryan started the show, ended the show, and competed in 3 matches. Last night on Raw, he was only on for a bit. The whole thing with, the first segment, his match against Kane, which I will get to later on, and the very end of the show. So, even though, it wasn't as much as last week, the balance is there. And so it's pretty interesting that, the WWE is very careful not to overdo some of their superstars and segments, etc., etc. So they're looking pretty good. Also last night, the United States Champ and the WWE Tag Team Champions, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose, The Shield, defeated Mark Henry and the Usos. What I like about this match was that, throughout, you see the Usos being the high flyers and, attacking the Shield from outside and going all over the place. And then you have Mark Henry who will just beat you up and just stay in the ring doing that. And that combination of those 3 guys was absolutely amazing. And what's more amazing is that this match actually happened on Raw as opposed to SummerSlam. I thought they would wait for it at SummerSlam. And so it was cool to see that match on Raw. And so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to play out at SummerSlam involving the Shield and the Usos and Mark Henry. So we'll see. On the weeks to come on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, etc., going up to SummerSlam. Also last night, Rob Van Dam defeated Fandango via countout last night, and I like that they're playing it safe with Fandango. You don't want to, hurt him because he came back from a concussion again. Well, not again, but you know what I mean. But because he came back from a concussion and they don't want to hurt him again, they just want to play it safe. But the thing they have to do with Fandango is that they need to bring him back where he was before he got that concussion. And Rob Van Dam, he's been looking good week after week ever since he came back, and all thumbs are up for Rob Van Dam. Also last night, Caitlyn defeated the Divas champ AJ Lee in a non-title match. I thought they already been down this road, just change into a different lane or street or something, because Caitlyn right now is not the diva that should be competing for the Divas champ. And I think the only reason why the WWE put her in that situation is because there's really no one else. But I think they could elevate some divas that could go in there with AJ. I mean, Naomi is a good, example of that. Maybe Cameron, bring her up too as well. The Funkadactyls, absolutely. Eva Marie, maybe. So the only thing that kind of bothered me with that is that they already been there, done that with Caitlyn and AJ. That's all. And then following after that, we saw a match between Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston, where Dolph Ziggler won via disqualification because AJ Lee cost Big E Langston the match by attacking Dolph Ziggler and costing him, his chance to get revenge. And what's interesting is that, now Big E Langston is kind of upset with AJ because, of that loss. So there's going to be an interesting dynamic between Dolph Ziggler, AJ, and Big E Langston. This whole threesome is going to be really weird. It could be entertaining, I hope. It's not a flop. And the whole thing with AJ is pretty much dating the locker room. I really don't think they should go that route with Big E. I think there should be like a big brother and little sister kind of relationship as opposed to a couple, because it feels it would feel a little different, and they should go that route instead of repeating their storylines with AJ over and over and over. Just in my opinion. And with that being said, it's another one of those matches that, this is a match that probably will happen anyway at SummerSlam, so it was amazing to actually see that match happen between Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston on Monday Night Raw. Last night on the show. Also last night, Christian defeated the World Heavyweight Champion, Alberto. Man, I miss that guy. Del Rio. I can't roll the R. Sorry, I tried. I practiced. Can't do it. Anyway, without going off topic, what I really like about this match is that Christian has been winning after match after match after match, and has been feeling like a sleeper throughout ever since he came back on Raw. And just those, a couple of months ago with Wade Barrett, and I'll get to him later on. And what I like now is that he has won a non-title match against Alberto Del Rio. So if this doesn't, put him in the as a number one contender for the world champ, and to go in to face Alberto for the title at SummerSlam, I don't know what will. And here's the interesting thing. We know now Alberto Del Rio will pick his own opponent at SummerSlam. The interesting thing is, he's not John Cena. He's not the hustle, loyalty, and respect kind of guy who chooses a guy who will deserve to be competing for the title. Because because Alberto Del Rio is a heel. And with that being said, I think he's a guy that'll pick, the easiest guy to face. Now here's a scenario that the WWE could go in, as that Ricardo Rodriguez comes back and Alberto Del Rio picks Ricardo, his own personal assistant, his own ring announcer, and going into that match, Alberto will probably think, okay, this is a guy I can beat very easy, and he'll just lay down for me. But will he? So that's one of those stories that the WWE could go in that direction. I don't know if they will or not. I think they should, because that would be very entertaining to watch. I think, in my opinion, it doesn't do the world title any justice. but at least there's something for the World Championship that should happen at SummerSlam, and I think that idea could work. However, I think, the WWE should have a thing where Alberto Del Rio faces a hot competitor like Christian or maybe Rob Van Dam after what happened on SmackDown. So it's going to be interesting to see who Alberto Del Rio picks for his opponent at SummerSlam. Also last night, Cody Rhodes defeated Wade Barrett, and I actually enjoyed that match. That was actually a pretty entertaining, really good match last night. And what I also like is that, on SmackDown, you saw all those segments between Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow. Damien Sandow going after Cody because he stole his briefcase. And we see him backstage throughout. And he meets Cody Rhodes at the Gulf of Mexico. Cody Rhodes throws the briefcase over the water, and the whole thing with Damien Sandow saying, "Help, I can't swim." He dives in there anyway, comes back out without the briefcase, walks in on Raw after that match with Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett and says, "I'm going to sue the WWE." And without having the briefcase there. And I like that because it shows that, he never got his briefcase after. But here's the other interesting thing as well. He could have that contract out of the briefcase before Cody Rhodes even stole it. So he's probably one step ahead of Cody because he is the intellectual savior. He's probably let Cody thinking that he's one step ahead of Damien, when really Damien is one step ahead of Cody Rhodes. So that would be a little interesting aspect they could pull off if they were to have a match at SummerSlam with the briefcase on the line. That would be very interesting if they do go that route. Also last night, Daniel Bryan went one-on-one with Kane, where Daniel Bryan got the victory. Here's what I like. Everyone looked good, not just in that match, but throughout that segment as well. The match itself, absolutely fantastic. Both those guys can't do no wrong. Kane wins or losses really don't matter. But with Daniel Bryan, it does at this point. So it makes sense for Daniel Bryan to get the win over Kane. And just shortly after that, Kane chokeslams Daniel Bryan. Looks good. As soon as he goes to hit his famous pyro, the Wyatt family comes out and attacks Kane, building up to a possible match at SummerSlam. Probably Kane versus Bray Wyatt. And with just the other two guys, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, lingering in the back, maybe at ringside. I think that's a match that should happen at SummerSlam. And with that being said, what I really like about, the Wyatt family, ever since they debuted, is that they do it bit by bit and not too much at one time. So it's one of those things where they should just let it evolve slowly, gracefully, and very well. And so far, the WWE is living up to the hype when it comes to the Wyatt family on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Also last night, Brie Bella defeated Natalya. And the only reason why Brie Bella defeated Natalya was the worst possible interference in the history of Monday Night Raw. I mean, I won't get in too much detail on this, this whole thing with Nikki Bella and the bazooka I think she had. But, oh, jeez. That was just horrible. Plain out horrible. That was the worst thing WWE has ever done, not only on their Divas division, but on the show as well. That was the worst kind of interference the WWE has ever had on any week, on any month of any year on their program. There's your excitement for the day. Also last night, the Intercontinental Champion Curtis Axel okay, I'm back on track now. Sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, The Intercontinental Champion Curtis Axel defeated R-Truth last night, only to have CM Punk come out and attack Curtis Axel. And this whole thing with CM Punk and Paul Heyman was very good on Monday Night Raw last night, because on the last week's show, they saw Paul Heyman and CM Punk going back and forth with their excellent talking abilities, and on last Monday Night Raw you only saw a bit of it. Again, interesting balance throughout the show, and that was one of those examples between CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Not Daniel Bryan, Paul Heyman, between CM Punk and Paul Heyman, and you kind of saw CM Punk trying to catch Paul Heyman, only to have Curtis Axel, get in the way of that. So it's going to be an interesting. That was an interesting build up, towards CM Punk nailing to go to sleep to Paul Heyman, because that is just one of those moments to be expected at a big event. Maybe at SummerSlam. It could happen there. I think it's a good chance it will. Because it's just one of those things you want to see at a big event where you see the biggest thing happen. CM Punk nails a GTS to Paul Heyman. I like that on Raw that Curtis Axel got in the way of that, and he attacked CM Punk. And this whole thing with CM Punk and Paul Heyman is absolutely amazing. And Brock Lesnar has not been involved in the past 2 weeks on Raw, and that just makes it more interesting to anticipate this match between Lesnar and CM Punk. And the match itself is going to be interesting as well, because CM Punk has a background in Muay Thai, and Brock Lesnar's background in MMA, so it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see this match happen. This is just one of those matches I think is going to win SummerSlam. I think, in my opinion, this is the match that I'm really looking forward to the most, more than the WWE Championship match, which is interesting because usually, the Championship match is the one, match to market a pay-per-view, but I feel that at SummerSlam, it's the CM Punk and Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar thing, their match coming in the SummerSlam, that will make SummerSlam. Also last night, the main event was John Cena versus Ryback in a tables match. Here's the thing. It's kind of like, AJ Lee and Caitlyn. We've already been down this road, changing down the street, changing to a different lane. Because we really don't need this match to happen. However, the match was alright. There was a couple of cool moments. The standoff with the steel steps between Ryback and John Cena. That was cool. And so, there's a couple of cool moments in there. But I think the one thing that came off of that was that for John Cena to go over Ryback, I guess it was needed, because Ryback right now, there's really, I really don't know what direction they should go with him, because I don't know. It just baffles my mind that Ryback is in the situation he is right now, because you saw the segment earlier with Ryback and this guy, and he's bullying him. Ryback is bullying this guy backstage, and the whole thing just fell flat because he is the guy that should be, in the ring, destroying people and not resorting to being a bully, in my opinion. And the one thing that's missing out of Ryback is that he needs a mouthpiece. The guy just needs to stop talking and let someone be the mouthpiece for him. Just come in and do his thing and walk out the ring. But with that being said, the match itself, I could do without it, but I guess it was needed just for John Cena, to go over before the show even, went off the air. And then the whole thing with him and Daniel Bryan just close to the end was really, really cool. You saw Daniel Bryan, with the title, and you saw John Cena grab it from him because Daniel Bryan almost never gave the title back to him. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic between John Cena and Daniel Bryan. They're both good guys. They're both going into this match at SummerSlam with huge momentum. Both guys going in with big momentum. And I think this is going to be one of those cases where something is going to happen. Someone is going to turn heel when SummerSlam is over. And I think it's going to be Randy Orton. And you know what? This sucks. Because I'm still hoping, Daniel Bryan has a good WWE Championship run. But I think Randy Orton is going to cash in on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. But here's the cool thing. There's only a couple of Raws left. I will do a prediction video. And you know what? I could change my mind about that situation. So you never know what's going to happen now within the next couple of more Raws and SmackDowns before SummerSlam begins. And we'll see you in Los Angeles for SummerSlam. I'm your co-host for the MRB Wrestling Review Show, Mike McRock Wilson. To all your viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best. And follow the buzzards!